to The Lock Shop with Nielson and Hustler.
Thank you. Good morning or good afternoon, Lock Shoppers. Lieutenant Eric in for Dustin Nielson here on a Friday installment of the Lock Shop presented by Play Alberta here on EST. Play Alberta, your title sponsor. Once again, EST50. I do believe that code is working, but if not, EST Sports or EST Casino for a $50 free bet for the month of November. How are we all doing? I'm doing great. It's been a great morning leading up to Grey Cup weekend. It's been a great week, actually. I want to thank Dave Jameson for filling in for Dustin Nielson, who is on the scene, tiptoeing around Winnipeg. I'm sure our co-host on this program will dive a little bit more into Nielson's antics during the week. We know that he purchased a coat, probably a very expensive coat, with all of the CFL logos on each sleeve. But nonetheless, I'm here filling in today. I'll be also on the Monday edition of the Lock Shop breaking down Grey Cup and NFL Week 11 and some other things I'm sure around the sports world with Andrew Hustler Paterson of Winnipeg Sports Talk, who will join us shortly. But YouTube Trev producing the show as well. And we're having a great morning here. It's a great weekend. It is, as Tom Gazzola mentioned in the EST Hangout, Canada's Kitchen Party. Whether or not you're a fan of the Canadian variety of football, it is a weekend where you can kind of find somebody that does enjoy it, maybe go out to a party, dip your toe in, and just take a chance. It's much like American Thanksgiving at the end of this month, Grey Cup this weekend. It'll be on the 16th. It's usually maybe a week later in November, but it really is the last piss up before Christmas, if you will, and a chance to kind of get it all out of you and then really get into the Christmas season. But Grey Cup, no season like it, in my humble opinion. And a great weekend as well for Canadian football as a whole, as you'll have the U Sports semifinals, the Mitchell and UTech Bowl, Huskies out of the University of Saskatchewan playing the Queen's Golden Gales, and St. Mary's taking on Montreal in the UTech. So lots to discuss regarding Canadian football, whether it's the collegiate or pro level. And of course, Week 11 slate in the NFL. That kicked off last night. Patriots getting the win. The best team in the NFL record-wise. Are they the best team overall? Who's to say? We as well welcome your thoughts, 780-218-9999 in the inbox or in the nasty chat, and it's humming right now. Hit that like as well if you are taking the chance and watching me on the YouTube, iHeart, TuneIn Radio apps, and, of course, EdmontonSportsTalk.com. Matthew Hyman out in Winnipeg. He's been all over the chat this morning and in the hangout. Beer still on the table. Better be empty. This one has not been cracked yet. Hazy Does It IPA out of Jasper Brewing. Hasn't been released yet. Haven't released it in the studio. This one is empty, the Crisp Pills, and I am currently sucking back a fresh Crisp Pills, courtesy our Beer of the Week from the Explorer Alberta 12-pack, which you can get at all Sobeys and Safeway liquors. So we await the appearance of Andrew Hustler Paterson. I believe he's good to go in the bullpen here. Just want to mention again, EST50, EST Sports, EST Casino, if you want to peruse the Play Alberta Casino for the $50 free bet. And why not take advantage of those codes for a Grey Cup weekend? Of course, Oilers in action tomorrow. They continue their road trip in Raleigh against the Hurricanes if you want to dabble a bit there. Or as well, use those codes for the Week 11 slate in the National Football League. But I think we're ready to bring in Huss. Yeah, okay, good to go. So we'll, studio audience, we'll welcome him in here. Huss, great to see you, man. How you? Before we get into the nuts and bolts of the game and everything like that, I want you to set up the pomp and pageantry of Winnipeg. It is a football town. You folks out there have had some great success on the field over the past few years. That's translated into hosting a Grey Cup here. From all accounts and from my perch, I've been viewing online as best as I can. I texted you. I said I have enormous FOMO going on. I would like to be there. Of course, we talked. It's a short bench. Somebody's got to be here to man the controls, and that's me. But the hashtag, I do believe, was Get LTE Pegged. This week, which is a bit of a play on words, but I would have been like to be out in the peg with you. Set the scene. What's it like down there in Winnipeg here? I hear the weather is fantastic to start.
Dude, the weather, like, shout out to Mother Nature. Mother Nature is a CFL fan. She's helping us out big time right now. I think right now it's 7 degrees. We're expecting a high of 11 today. There's going to be a big outdoor social outside the convention center, probably starting as we speak till I think 10 or 11 tonight. And then all the team parties inside and the concerts. Yeah, no, the city's lit up. As are most of the fans of the CFL, to be perfectly honest with you. It's the vibe's amazing. I mean, obviously it would have been great if the Bombers were in, but I think actually having the Bombers out and losing in the semi, as opposed to, the heartbreak of losing last week, I think the disappointment's sort of gone, and people are rolling out the red carpet. A lot of green rolling into the city, especially today, I think, more so than yesterday. But it's been awesome. By the way, we got royalty in the chat. Reed Wilkins in the house. Shout out to our guy Reed. I think it's just going to be a phenomenal weekend. I mean, the game is sold out. I know there's Rider fans looking for tickets, and there's probably some Bomber fans that are more than willing to sell them, considering the team isn't there. But listen, the Bombers deserve a lot of credit for a lot of things. I mean, just the way they built up. I mean, the support of the fans, but the job that the organizing committee has done to set up this weekend has been absolutely phenomenal. And it seems like a lot of things are sort of falling into place for us on the couple nights away from the big game. So we've got a hell of a matchup. We got a city that's ready to welcome the Canadian Football League fans from around the country here. And the only thing we're missing is a few key Rider fans, you being one of them, out here for it. But and listen, I think Dusty's going to join us like right at the end of the program.
Okay.
Hopefully, if time will provide. So fire him a link if you guys haven't already. Okay. We'll get his picks and thoughts on the game. But I mean, it's all hands on deck. I mean, shout out to TSN. I mean, everybody's here. The Overdrive guys are here. They've been doing their show yesterday and today. So the excitement is building, and I can tell you that if the Thursday night is any indication of what Friday and Saturday are going to be like, this is going to be an all-time Grey Cup weekend.
And since you're there, and the benefit of having you on the program today, and you're there, and it's ground zero. Like, walk me through your week, because I know the last time it was here, we went to Calgary in. What would have that been? 2019, I guess. And that was fun. And it was here, I do believe, in 18. I could be getting my dates and years wrong. But, you get great. So the matchups, and you mentioned it's probably better if your team is kind of out of it early. You don't get the heartbreak. I personally, as much as I want to enjoy all the partying, I'd like to enjoy a Grey Cup with my nerves unjangled and just be a neutral observer and not have really anything on the line. But walk us through the week. Like Monday, I mean, it gets settled. Teams start kind of getting in, Wednesday, coaches, players. Then you get into the Thursday, the media throng and all that, the Naylor party. But Huss, walk me through, like, personally from your point of view in your week. How is this developed, and where do you see it going before the game?
Well, unfortunately for me, it did not start off well. I rarely get sick, and I got absolutely hammered with this flu and was sort of playing hurt through Monday through Wednesday. But Wednesday, and as I say, I've been doing the shows. So, I mean, I haven't been at the availabilities. Obviously, we're covering it. The media party was phenomenal on Wednesday night out at a place called Bell's Kitchen, which opened about a year ago, and it's a really unique place. It's like a Southern barbecue joint.
Okay.
With a great bar, no tipping allowed, which is another very wild thing. They pay their people really well, and they don't accept it. You kind of get drinks at one place, you order food. People were blown away by that. Awesome entertainment. This place, actually, I was talking to one of the guys from there. It is packed all weekend long. I guess it won the Canadian Country Music Award Venue of the Year or something like that. So there's a lot of people that are kind of seeking it out. So anyways, Farhan and Dave and, all the media around was there on Wednesday to sort of really kick it off. And then Thursday, sort of the day that you really start seeing people around. Like, there were quite a few CFL fans kicking around downtown kind of on Wednesday night later on. But as you well know, I mean, the festivities and the festival really began yesterday, and a hell of a way to kick it off. The team parties were going. Touchdown Manitoba was rocking like all afternoon. Usually that's a Friday afternoon thing, but they got after it a day early. And then as part of this concert series, the Winnipeg's own The Watchmen played last night. And
Love The Watchmen. Love The Watchmen. Love The Watchmen.
You know what? So many people do. And the scene there, I mean, you would have thought it was freaking Taylor Swift. I mean, people were so hyped and fired up into it. Awesome, awesome show. So it got off to a great start last night as more and more people came in. And, you know, as we get into today, this is the day that, frankly, I kind of wish I had off. Sort of a big day for us. There's lots to talk about. So obviously I'm doing the show. We got to get some picks in and talk about the game. But I can tell you I'll finish up WST at about 3:15, and I'll be in an Uber at about 3:20, and it is going to be on. When I was picking up my media credentials, I got downtown to the convention center, and this was like late on Tuesday night, Remembrance Day. And I couldn't believe, like, I knew they do a great job of setting up the actual convention center, but as I say, they've shut the street down in front of it, and it's just going to be an absolute free-for-all. And this was sort of the day that was supposed to be. And the fact that it's combined with, like, I don't know what the record high for November 14th in Winnipeg, but I don't imagine it's much more than 11 degrees.
Yeah.
So I think this afternoon is going to be wild. Heading into, there's a part of the concert series is Brad Paisley.
Oh boy.
Who I think we just saw singing the national anthem in the 18-inning game during the World Series. He's going to be at the Canada Life Center. But as you well know, I mean, the real action, I think, for CFL fans is all the team parties. So Spirit of Edmonton, I think, is teamed up with the Lions Den. They've got a massive spot at the convention center. Bomber House, Riderville, all of that. That's going to be going hard tonight and throughout the weekend. The family stuff, like, if there are any people that are watching this right now that are either coming in a little later on, or maybe they're in Winnipeg and, you know, you've got kids in around, they've done an unbelievable job of the sort of the family area with the activations. That's where we did our show last year for a couple days in Vancouver. That's just over at the University of Winnipeg, which is also downtown, not too far from kind of the epicenter in the convention center. So that's happening right now. They've got thousands of school kids down there taking it all in and kind of exposing the CFL to it. So far, so good. And I think it's just building. And obviously, we've got a hell of a matchup for the game as well to culminate the weekend. But as much as the Grey Cup, focuses on the game, as you well know, it really is the best party of the year in the Canadian Football League. I would argue one of the best parties of the year in our entire country. And it is officially underway here in the Peg.
Well, and I wanted to, and again, we'll leave the main event here, the game. We got some time to talk about the game. I wanted to ask you, though, the story underneath the story, and since the Grey Cup is happening in Winnipeg, the Mike O'Shea question. Where are you at? And what do you hearing? Your feelers are out. He took the meeting. The head maybe has been turned. I mean, I know the Bombers, I'm not going to, but Zach Claros is getting older in the tooth. Buck Pierce is now with the Lions. I know the OC was getting a bit of, let's just say negative reviews throughout. You kind of see, and from my point of view as being a Riders supporter, you kind of see cracks in the armor developing. Is this something that's kind of got people there spooked a bit? And do you see O'Shea ultimately going back east here? I mean, is this the start of something here during Grey Cup week?
Okay, the two-part question first. Does it have people spooked? Absolutely.
Yeah.
Eric, and I'll still say this, even with all the smoke around it, I will go on record as saying I'll believe it when I see it. I mean, the thought of Mike O'Shea leaving the Winnipeg Blue Bombers right now at this point as the winningest coach of all time with 2 Grey Cup championships, I mean, a down year for the club based on the incredible standard that he and the team had set for sure. To go to the Toronto Argonauts, which, listen, they've been a good team. Ryan Dinwiddie did a hell of a job there. Well, why the hell did Ryan Dinwiddie leave Toronto to go to Ottawa?
And didn't even take like a conversation with them after the Red Blacks, right? Like he immediately,
there was no going back. Hey, give me an extra 25 grand or 50 grand and I'll stay. Like that wasn't it at all. Like the Argos, and I hate to say this, because I would love for the team in the country's biggest city to be healthy and be one of the standard bearers. They're a second-tier team in the CFL.
Yeah.
I don't know how you can say any different. The fan base, the support of them, although there's a lot of great Argo fans, we've seen a bunch of them here.
Yeah.
They just don't have the numbers. And even worse, they don't have the support of their ownership. Like, so imagine Mike O'Shea leaving Winnipeg at this point in the franchise's history where they sold out every game this year. I mean, making money hand over fist. I mean, it couldn't be better with the exception of having the team in the big game and going to Toronto where MLSE has decided that with the World Cup there, they're just going to let the team play 12 or 13 road games next year.
Yeah.
I mean, to me, it's almost inconceivable. I can't believe we're even having this conversation. I mean, some will say maybe this is a little bit of negotiating by Mike, who always keeps his cards close to the vest. But listen, he was on a plane to Toronto, came back this year. From everything that I've heard, the Bombers don't know what he's going to do. They have an offer on the table to Mike. And I don't think the Argos know either. But at the same point, I think there's some real optimism that this happens in Toronto. And obviously there's some real nerve. So,
and I would say too, like,
I still can't see it happening, but
it's unfinished business though for Mike O'Shea in Winnipeg. Like there is an unfinished business. Like it's not like you've seen dynasties and such. Like you could argue like a firm ending point. I don't think that's the case right now with the Blue Bombers and Mike O'Shea.
No, listen. I mean, in professional sports, especially football, where careers are short and guys come and go, and more so in the CFL than maybe anywhere, it's very, very difficult to stay at the level that they've had.
Yep. No, that's true.
Excuse me. But listen, they fell off this year. It wasn't up to the standard. But listen, I'll just say this: if Mike O'Shea leaves, there's going to be, we'll find out afterwards that there was way more to it. I mean, whether there was some, disgruntlement behind the scenes, obviously, maybe it's with Kyle Walters, maybe it's personnel, maybe it's potentially with management, but it just seems so weird because we've talked about the Canadian mafia of Miller and Walters and O'Shea for the last number of years. And listen, I guess when you don't meet your goals, people reevaluate things. But at the end of the day, like, this isn't going to BC to coach Nathan Rourke. This isn't going to, even in Ottawa where you could have a blank slate, run everything. I mean, this is going to, John Murphy is still going to be the player personnel guy. I mean, and then obviously, you're basically starting off next season with a stacked deck in that you're going to be playing on the road for about 75% of the season. So the early part of next week will be very telling, and it'll be really interesting. And I know that right now the stories around it's about the game, and that's what they want to focus on. There's no news breaking. But I can tell you that the second that game is finished and they hand out the Grey Cup at Princess Auto Stadium, the focus of people around here is on what's next for the Blue Bombers and is Mike O'Shea staying. Yeah,
and it just adds a real wrinkle during Grey Cup week, which, again, to get people talking and everything, which we do like in the Canadian football circles, it's something to chew on. I don't know, again, if you want to get into the game, that's fine. A few notes. I mean, we had the State of the League, Stuart Johnston, the commish this morning, sticking out for us here in this market, and I'm sure in others, is the season-long fantasy. He talked about revamping the app, the website, the team websites. He reinstated his commitment to the Canadian game, however you want to define that. at this present moment. I don't know if you got a chance to catch any of that or read up on any of that, but just quick thoughts on.
Yeah.
I mean, to me, it's the season-long fantasy with a bullet. I mean, we've been preaching it here, Dusty and I. So
I really hope that Dusty's able to come on at the end of the program, because he will probably deserve maybe a little bit of a victory lap for that.
Well, both of us, we're both champions this year. We've been operating our league for 10 years. Matthew Iwanek at the helm. But again, we've been banging this drum. And I mean, we're both football fans here, you and I, Huss, both of the NFL and CFL variety. You got to be blind and deaf to not understand how fantasy has impacted NFL fans here in Canada. And why not dream, and why can I not do the same? The only the only quiver I have, and they talked about it in the hangout here prior, is that, we've been down this road with Genius before, and we're going to do this, and promises made but not necessarily delivered. If you're going to roll out a season-long fantasy, you best damn do it right.
Oh, I mean, the Genius, the entire Genius debacle, if you will.
It's a hell of a name, too, like ironically enough.
It is the most ironic name maybe in the history of it all. There's like 12 and 13-year-old hockey leagues that have better up-to-date live scoring than the Canadian Football League. Now, listen, they did come around a little bit this year, but I mean, for crying out loud, it was like 3 years to get to this point. So you are 100% right. They need to get this right, and they need to launch it and not spend 3-4 months trying to work out the kinks. It needs to be ready to go. It needs to be user friendly, particularly speaking to the fantasy aspect of it. You need to go to, and it'll be cool that it's going to be done through the league. Obviously, the NFL has something like this. I think of like the ESPN app that we use for, many of our NFL fantasy leagues. Yeah. Something like that takes care of it, and makes it easy to be a commissioner. It makes it easy to set up a league, makes it easy to trade or to pick up players, to set your lineup. And I mean, it's all there. It's not like they're reinventing the wheel. They're basically taking the Canadian football product and putting it into what is there and established already for the NFL, which has been so huge in making, the NFL the monster that it is today. So listen, that has to be good when they launch it. And I'll say this about Stuart Johnson. He has been, at the helm of TSN for a long time. Mm-hmm. They put so much into the Canadian Football League. They've done a really good job in so many aspects. The Genius stuff was not on him. Yep. But he's had a full year to realize the shortcomings of where the league's at and what they need to do. I've got confidence that they'll move forward, and when they do launch it, if they put the resources in that this is necessary to, there can be some real big benefits when it's actually rolled out. Absolute. Andrew Hustler Paterson, Winnipeg Sports Talk here. You want to get into this one? You want to get into the chip here? Yeah, Alouettes, Roughriders. Yeah, go ahead. Just before we do, speaking of victory laps, shout out to all the lock shoppers that rode on that Nathan Rourke MOP prop. People were talking earlier today as well. Yeah. Dude, 11-1. We got it in, and I think the date of that bet was right after the August long weekend. And if you recall, the start of the year I think Rourke opened up at like plus 250 or 3-1 to be the MOP. And the Bombers beat them in those back-to-back games. Uh-huh. And, they had sort of a middling start. And, of course, VA and the Calgary Stampeders were a great story. And the Riders were doing their thing. And all of a sudden, Rourke, with a ton of football left to be played, was up there at 11-1. So I know a lot of lock shoppers, a lot of WSTers got on that number. And then he basically got the job done last night. I was hoping that at one point we would have been able to get a prop on Trey Vavel to win both the Rookie of the Year and the Special Teams Player of the Year. What an incredible season that he had. Without him, LTE, Bombers probably finished 7-11. He was electric. It was a Western sweep of the awards as well. Your old boy Jamarcus Hardrick as well, taking home that line. Love Jamarcus. Yoshi,
Good on Rourke, and again, as I said, following last week's divisional finals, like his time will come. He'll eventually get his. I mean, that's the way it's going to work eventually. But well deserved there, and if you were riding with us there on that one, again, he also propelled my Birmingham Barracudas to a Dunya championship. He was great in that Canadian spot, the national spot, and again, putting it up, much like we'll see with Davis Alexander, maybe given the hamstring. But doing it on the ground and through the air, just full worth. I mean, worth the price of admission. Nathan Rourke is, and again, he's one of those guys that the future for the league as a whole, with him at kind of the helm and probably taking over those reins, if not already, very bright. And he deserved everything he got last night in the MOP and the most outstanding Canadian.
Yeah, listen, I mean, it's pretty wild. I mean, we've followed this league for a long time. I mean, to have a Canadian quarterback that is as excellent as Nathan Rourke is something that I honestly never thought that we'd see.
Yeah.
I mean, the Canadian guys just never really got a chance, never really got that opportunity. And listen, obviously it didn't go great for Trey Ford this year in Edmonton, but he's still a really talented young guy. Curtis Rourke's been drafted by Saskatchewan, although he's hanging with the Niners right now. The Bombers picked Taylor Elgersma, who still has some NFL interest, but we hope that maybe he'll sign here and be the succession plan at quarterback beyond Zach Caleros. But what Nathan Rourke has done is just absolutely phenomenal. It is so great for the league. And I think that he was very much deserving of being both the top Canadian and the MOP last night. And obviously there was a little bit of good news for the Bombers in the double win for Trey Vavel, which kind of historic as well. But yes, the awards have been given out. The final closed practices are today.
Yep.
There'll be a walkthrough tomorrow, and then we kick it off. Hey, just before we kind of dive into the lines and everything like that, how are you feeling about the Riders right now going into Sunday?
Yeah, no, the two words that we always use in Riderland is cautiously optimistic, and you got to be. They did finish where they finished. They had the record they had. There were a few games that you could argue, I mean, aside from a Mario Alford last-second kick return touchdown in Toronto and a few other close results, they won some games big. They won some games small. I think for a team where you're looking to capture the whole thing, you got to learn how to win in a variety of ways, in which they did. At times, it wasn't sexy. Mark Mueller's play calling at times, I do feel, is a little vanilla. It's a team carried by their head coach in the defense. Mace is a player's coach, much like Moss, which this matchup is so sexy in that regard, where you got two guys that, I mean, you've seen the pick of Mace taking down Moss, and Moss has got the ball in the air. I mean, these are two guys that are kind of, when you look at coaches, and much like O'Shea in your market, I mean, these are guys that know the league, they played in the league, and now they've got, players playing for them in the league. I'm cautiously, I have to always remain cautiously optimistic. I'm not too hot and heavy. What I like about this matchup, though, in particular is, the two times these teams faced, it was MBT at the helm. And in the summer, you had the Riders go into Montreal, blow them out, and it was a depleted Alouettes lineup. I do believe that if the Alouettes were at least a little bit healthy throughout the season, they probably wouldn't have finished first in the East. Nothing against the Hamilton Ticats, but the Riders got them there in Montreal, took advantage of those injuries, much like the Alouettes did in Regina, where MBT you saw in the rain.
That was the most shocking game, like maybe the entire CFL season. MBT rolling in and putting that one on the Riders in Regina was just an absolutely stunning result.
With two corners out, like that was it was a feast of gigantic proportion. Like it was rain. A lot of fans didn't show up, and then you had MBT kind of pick away at those. I mean, Exume. You talk about players not having to buy a meal. He has to pay for the restaurant when he goes out to eat now, given that performance, and will for all time. But it was a rather fascinating case of, one team blowing them out injured, and then another team going into their barn, blowing them out somewhat injured. But now you're seeing a matchup with Davis Alexander, and I don't know what you're hearing with the hamstring. I know he's doing 3 to 4 maintenance physio sessions a day leading up to the game, which is extraordinary. I don't know what he's going to be like in terms of his dimensions, whether he'll be able to run as much as he does. But it's your last game of the year for the CFL, but the first game that you're seeing Davis Alexander put his undefeated record as a starter on the line against arguably the top defense throughout the season in the league. So I find that storyline specifically, and again, it goes down to the health of Alexander and how he's going to be. Maybe MBT gets some time in this game, who knows? But the matchup of that defense against a quarterback where they haven't really met this year at all is fascinating. I don't really know how to chop it right now.
Yeah, listen, the one thing I'll say, and I think this is a credit to Rider Nation, and maybe why don't you give us the latest on what the money line is and the spread over at PA. I mean, I think that once the Riders won and that game opened up, Rider fans could not get to the window fast enough to back their team in the big game. And I think that's why, I saw it as high as 4 yesterday.
It's 4, yeah.
And do you still have 4? Is it gone to 3.5?
4 up at playalberta.ca, or you can download the app to make it a little easier on yourself. Once again, those codes EST50, EST Sports, $50 free bet. -4 right now for the Riders. The money line, Riders -200, Alouettes +148.
Yeah, I really think that this should be a pick'em.
Yeah.
I could make the argument, and I do understand there's a little bit of uncertainty with Davis Alexander, and I guess that's probably touched the line a little bit, combined with the incredible support Saskatchewan gets from the public. But I could make an argument that Montreal should maybe be a slight favorite. To me, these are the best 2 teams in the CFL. We've got an incredible matchup. We've got 2 great quarterbacks. I do think that Jason Moss, his experience in the big game, will be something. I should ask you this. I've been meaning to text you about this, but even better do on the show. Give us your thoughts through the last 3 minutes of the West Final, because I'll be honest, I'll never understand. And I know it worked out for them, the decision to kick a field goal with less than 3 minutes. And then to think they punted again. Literally, Nathan Rourke had 2 opportunities.
Yeah.
Where really all they needed to do was get a first down.
Most outstanding player, Nathan Rourke, had 2 opportunities.
Yeah, exactly. So, credit to the Rider defense. And that, you can really build on that. And then let's face it, Trevor Harris, I know we're talking about Nathan Rourke and everyone's talking about Davis Alexander. Trevor Harris can put the final check on a Hall of Fame career with a win on Sunday with his first Grey Cup championship as a starting quarterback. And I got to tell you, that final drive with a minute left, with no more outs, backs against the wall, was as good as it gets.
Yeah.
And I will say this. I think the Montreal defense is going to be a lot more of a test than BC's.
Oh, yeah.
BC stepped up well.
Yeah.
But it's got all. But had you resigned yourself to not winning that game at any point, or did you have hope through the crazy last 3 minutes of the West Final? So
that's the thing. And I coming from my point of view, I would have been terrified if the Stamps, and maybe you could argue they should have maybe won the West semi. That too came down to but I just think the matchup with the Lions, and I know Nathan Rourke, he can have good games, but that doesn't necessarily translate to winning in what you saw in the West Final. But the 3 minutes, and I know I was kind of crapping on Mueller there as well, but when it matters, he dialed it up. And when it mattered, Harris dialed it up. And when it mattered, they weren't doing, 7-yard button hooks and whatever. They did what they needed to do. And I think going back to that decision, as you mentioned, to kick that field, it's something that translates into this game where Moss or Mace, Corey Mace, just brass balls for that and to make that decision. And then you're making that decision and you're putting trust in your players. And you're saying, okay, boys, go out and execute. They execute, reinstating the trust that so that's a symbiotic thing there that's happening in live time where you're seeing a coach say, hey, boys, go on. It's no different than running it 1st and 10 every play. Well, it might be predictable, but the players have to go out and execute. That's the call, you execute. And they did that. I think, the depth that the Rough Rider receivers have had to show over the past season, given the injuries, has benefited them. They've had guys, Tommy Neal, the second coming of Andy Fantuz, continuing to kind of show up when maybe nobody would pick him in those situations. Trevor Harris, you mentioned, driving it when he has to. All of those things, I think, just... And it's funny, again, you maybe don't make the call, and Mace talked about it, like maybe last year he would have gone for it, And if you go for it there and you get the touch, well, then it's a tie game. He knew that you kick the field goal. Well, now you have a chance if you do get the ball again and get the touch, and then you're going for the win. So he factored that all in, put the trust in the guys. The guys executed for him. I think that's a moment too where you can kind of put that into the championship game and say, look how we've grown through that game and the trust on both sides. I personally, you're sitting there and you're in the nerves of the game and you're kind of like, what the heck? And, you got Ouellette there and you're like, well, you're there. You might as well just punch it in. They don't, but again, it proves to be right. It's a fascinating thing, and it's an experiment, again, where I don't know if you do that 9 out of 10. Does it work 9 out of 10? Who knows? But they did it. It worked. And again, as you mentioned, stopping Rourke, he can put up numbers, but in the moment, and I think, and going to we're talking quarterbacks, Davis, Alexander, Trevor Harris, I think this is also a game where, and you said it should be pick 'em. I fully agree. It's got the hallmarks of like this is a classic on our hands. Hopefully, from a neutral's point of view, this should be a great game. But the defense is on both sides, and the trust Mace puts in his defense to stop the MOP twice, and then you got Noel Thorpe, who has been obviously flirted with head coaching jobs or whatever. But that Alouettes defense, when healthy, and I know they have some question marks too on that side of the ball, but it looks like they'll be healthy as it gets for this game. These are two of the best defenses as well in the league. You can take your quarterback. There's lots to discuss here, special teams quarterbacking, but the defenses, for me, take prime position in this game. And I don't know if you want to go like over-under right now, 49 up at Play Alberta, minus 14 over, minus 116 under. Like, I just don't know who's going to come to the fore, whether it's the quarterbacks or it's just the defenses, and it just turns into a giant chess match of sorts.
Well, the defenses, are legit, but I also think that, both of these quarterbacks are ready to go. And as long as Davis Alexander, is not completely, hampered by the hamstring, and I don't think that'll be the case. They're certainly talking a good game, saying he's going to be good and ready to go, and they're doing it all. I know the Riders are going to be able to go, and I think that they'll be more aggressive in this game than they've been in the last couple ones. Because I think they're going to need those points. As great as the Rider defense is, I think we can count on Montreal doing it. Listen, when you add in the fact that the weather is going to be so relatively gorgeous out, with it being kind of, it says a high of 2 right now.
I did hear it, and I'm sorry to interrupt. I looked at the forecast earlier in the week. There was some chance of snow. Is that kind of gone too? Like, that could obviously add a bit of a spice to it, but warm temperatures, any precip?
It would be awesome. It doesn't look like it. Sunday, it just says sunny, high of +2. It doesn't sound like there's going to be much wind, which I think will be great for the offenses. So I do think there'll be a better chance of it going over. Of course, both games last week in the East and West final were way under. It wasn't even really close. We had a scoreless first quarter, in Hamilton and in the Alouettes. And obviously it was a real defensive battle for the most part between BC and the Riders until they got in there. So I think the stage is set to allow the offenses to do what they want to do. And this could end up being, as much as we focus on the quarterbacks and the offense, which defensive unit goes out and plays to their level. Because we always say defense wins championships, especially in the CFL. You got to be able to run the ball, maintain field position and ball possession, and then have your defense go out there and get off the field. Both of them do it really well.
Yeah.
So, and this is why, I've been really puzzled by the line and the line movement, and opening at 2.5, getting to 4 right now. I don't know how. I put it this way. I think you'd have to be a real big-time Riders supporter to be laying the points right now. I'd be shocked if this game wasn't a field goal one way or the other.
I ain't doing it. I ain't doing the -4. I'm not. Obviously, I'm not picking the Alouettes outright, but I'll take them +4. Sure.
Who listen, as I say, I'm in, and I've got a money line bet on Montreal just because I think that it could go either way, and to me, having no skin in the game, to me, it's a 50-50 thing. And if you're going to get +150 on one side and have to lay -200 on the other, it's relatively simple. What is interesting, I think when we dive into, is all of the prop bets for the game. The quarterback passing totals,
Lay some on me here. Give me all the prop. I want all the props.
The Davis Alexander number 263.5 over under. Trevor Harris is a bigger number, 281.5.
Is there an MBT number?
No. Okay. I mean, they're just
all right.
Listen, it's MBT. If MBT's in, I think Rider Nation's going to be quite happy despite what happened before. The rushing yards, AJ Ouellette 80.5. Stevie Scott 44.5. And I will point out, Scott was like a third stringer earlier on in the year. He might have been the most important player in the East Semi against the Winnipeg Blue Bombers.
Bang on. And down the stretch, I'll argue too. Just given, as you mentioned, where he started. Yeah.
Phenomenal. So I was a little surprised at that number. Now, I mean, I know they think they're going to kind of lean on the pass more, and that it is the CFL. But I was pretty intrigued that number was as low as it was. AJ Ouellette's obviously the favorite to have the most rushing yards. Scott, though, is 4-1, and then the quarterbacks are 11. Or Travis Thies, I should say, is 11, and Davis Alexander is 11. I don't know. I wouldn't be touching any Alexander rushing props. He'll do it if he has to, but I don't think that's the plan at all, which I think, frankly, puts us into a situation where there's some value with Stevie Scott. It's the touchdown numbers is interesting. And the Stevie Scott touchdown number is plus 275, which was really high from where I thought. Now, they do have, a number of other options. Philpott and Sneed, the two real key guys that I see on that. The only guy they're missing is Mac. And then, on the Riders side of things, Keon Schaefer-Baker's plus 275. Maybe he gets a chance for a do-over on that embarrassing touchdown celebration from the West Final. Eric, you cannot, especially in a playoff game, try to do the jump up off your shoulder blades onto your feet and not land it. You need to be 100% sure that you are landing that if you're going to attempt it. But maybe he does get in.
They certainly looked at him. They certainly looked at him a lot. In that you could tell that they were kind of keying in on him. Maybe he is that weapon that they go to. Like he's healthy again. Wasn't for most of the season, obviously. Great Canadian, great size. He could be somebody. Keyshawn Johnson's another question mark. Like he's been practicing. We'll wait and see and determine what status he's at come game day. But I find it funny. It's such a large receiving core with them. As I mentioned, a lot of guys getting chances throughout the year. I just wonder if you kind of go down the list and pick one of those, like maybe a Del Duncan Busby has a pop-off game. It's the Grey Cup. You've seen it before, right? Guys that are maybe unheralded during the season kind of show up and have themselves a day.
Well, it's funny you mentioned Del Duncan Busby. Like, let's go down and let's talk about the more unlikely heroes. Yeah. He's plus 750 to get into the end zone. Mario Alford, 8-1. Trevor Harris, 8-1. Not that he's probably going to be doing a ton of scrambling, but everything's on the table when we talk about the big game. Tommy nailed 5-1. Robustelli plus 475. He's a guy that has made some big catches. And then from the other side, I mean, there's a 3-1 on Mac, a 3-1 on Charleston Rambo.
Yeah.
And I got to say, Rambo is a guy that I think after the play that he made, which really won them that football game. I mean, he doesn't get those extra yards in that first down in that final minute. Bo Levi Mitchell's getting the ball back with about 45 seconds left in relatively good field position. And we could be having a very different conversation all week about the Ticats having an opportunity to end the longest Grey Cup drought in the Canadian Football League.
Yeah, so, pour one out for the Tabbies, hey?
Yeah, I felt bad for them. I mean, I think this is the best matchup, and it's going to make for the best game.
Yeah.
But I got a lot of love for the Hammer.
We all do.
Ticat fans.
Yeah.
I mean, that's a gritty city. I see a lot of similarities from the Peg to Hamilton. So I would have liked to have seen them maybe get a better result now that the Bombers are out of the mix. But that is where we are. So right now, 4 at PA for the Riders right now. And as I say, that be interesting to just follow and see how much line movement we've seen. I've been paying attention to a couple other books, and I've just been stunned at how the Alouette money line number kept on going up. Seems it's sort of coming back the other way, and I think probably ends up right around that plus 150, plus 145 number, maybe even as low as plus 140 if we get it going on. But we got a heck of a matchup. And at the end of the day, it's fun to just bet the money line in a game like this because it really is about winning and losing, and everything else is a little bit secondary. Hey, just because I do want to fire off these NFL picks before we get out, whether Dusty jumps on. Your Buffalo Bills had that huge win over Kansas City. They faceplant last week against the Dolphins.
The Dolphins won their Super Bowl.
Yeah,
you saw the celebrations, right? Yeah.
Well, and that's kind of what we said about the Bills the week before, and that's why they might not have been ready to go. But this is a big game. We got some amazing matchups in the NFL. But I will be honest, I really like the Bills in the position that they're in this week to get right again against a good Tampa team. And I think the line, do you have 5.5? Is that what you're seeing for Bills?
We had Mike Garafolo on earlier on the morning show, on the Nielsen show, and he agreed with you here. -6 for the Bills right now, -244 on the money line. He likes them to get it right as well at home against the Bucks. And I mean, and that's nothing against the Bucks. The Bills, the top of the board in most offensive metrics, like they're just a team right now that's kind of playing with their food a bit. And I mean, they'll get it right. Drop your game to the Dolphins, whatever. I know the Patriots are doing what they're doing. Will that translate to success later on or postseason? Who's to say? But the Bills know what they are. They know what they have to do. If you got to drop a couple in the midweeks, okay. But yeah, -6 right now up at Play Alberta for the Bills at home to the Bucks Sunday afternoon.
I do like a prop from that game. Khalil Shakir, I'm on over 49.5 receiving yards. Shakir is sort of that safety blanket for Josh. I'm not sure whether he runs as much in this game with what Tampa is bringing on the defensive line. And my one concern with Buffalo, taking away my fandom of Kansas City and a rival and whatnot, is really the receiving core. Like, Keelan Coleman hasn't really turned into a consistent game breaker. I love Dalton Kincaid, and they do run a lot of 2 tight end sets, and he's a big part of it. But I mean, Shakir's right now leading the team in receiving, and he certainly gets the quantity. I think this is going to be a game where he sees quite a bit of balls. Usually he's 8, 9. His average for the season is 10, although more recent games it's sort of 6 or 7. I'm on Khalil Shakir.
Should have traded for Waddle. You should. I mean, that receiving core always leaves me wanting more. And Keon Coleman, as you mentioned, I mean, Keon Inconsistency Coleman is the name right there. And if the tight ends aren't working, it basically does, as you mentioned, come down to Shakir. So I would meet you there on that assessment.
Yeah. So anyways, I'm really looking forward to that game. And let me put this out to the chat. I'm not making a play on this game, but to me, it's one of the most intriguing matchups of the entire season. The Sammy Darts and the 7-2 Seahawks going to LA to take on the 7-2 Rams.
Huge.
Drake May obviously is having this great year, and he was the slight favorite for the MVP going into this week. I think that once this game is finished, the winning quarterback potentially passes Drake May as the clubhouse leader right now for the MVP. I mean, it's Rams -3.
Yep.
Anyone in chat, if you have a play on either side, let us know on that game. Because to me, McDiesel's in on the Rams.
Yeah, he's Rams.
I think, listen, it wouldn't have surprised me if the Rams win this game. I mean, McVay's incredible. Matt Stafford's playing at an MVP level. We got a hell of a team. But I got to tell you, this Seattle team, I think, is making more and more people are believers week after week after week. And this is their biggest test of the entire year. So I can't wait for that game. It is not on the card. I guess with time running, here are my other picks for the week. And I guess if Dusty doesn't make it in for the show, we can tweet them out or something like that. He can fire it up. I will take Buffalo. I got it at -5.5. I guess you've got 6 right now.
Yeah.
I'm going to be taking the Baltimore Ravens -7.5. Normally, I wouldn't take a big favorite in a divisional matchup. It's just that the Ravens right now, with the situation they put themselves in, are basically playing a playoff game each and every week, and we've seen them over the last couple of weeks. Not to use your term, play with their food and go out and get the job done. Although Minnesota did a good job of kind of holding them to some field goals, but eventually they broke. Cleveland just can't hang with Baltimore in me. And even if they keep it down, is Cleveland going to get double-digit points? Yeah. I mean, I think the Ravens are a safe bet on this one. So I'm laying the 7 on that. I'm going to lay 6 with the Houston Texans. Shout out to my guy, the Mills Mafia, not the Bills Mafia, Davis Mills. What a comeback they had last week against the Jags. They're in a situation very similar to the Ravens where they got to keep winning if they want to be a wild card team.
And up against a divisional foe, much like the Ravens, correct? And the Titans.
Yeah, exactly. And listen, I normally will like these bad teams playing at home in the division. To me, these games are just so important for Baltimore and Houston against lesser opponents. I think they go out and they get the job done. And I would take team total unders probably for both Cleveland and for the Titans. My favorite game of the week, my favorite play of the week is the Sunday nighter. Give me the Detroit Lions +2.5 in Philly against the Eagles.
Oh, yeah.
Listen, I'm not sold on the Eagles right now. They have been doing it in a bunch of different ways. I think Nick Sirianni is an absolute maniac. Still cannot believe what happened at the end of that game on Monday night.
What a classic that was, eh? Yeah.
And listen, Detroit's heating up, and it's weird. Dan Campbell taking over the play calling for an offense that's putting up 30 a game. I don't know. I think Detroit, to me, it's Detroit and either LA or Seattle as the 2 best teams right now. The offense just isn't happening. Saquon Barkley is not even close to what he did last year. AJ Brown's pissed off every day because he's not getting enough balls. So I'm taking the Lions. I like them just straight up to win on the money line in Philly, but I'll take the 2.5 points. And then my 5th pick for the weekend, we're going to ride with the Minnesota Vikings at home. I think this line at just 2.5 sort of flatters Chicago. I mean, if you look at the wins that they've had, who they've been beating, how they've been beating them. Listen, they had to come back against the Raiders, against the Giants. I know J.J. McCarthy was off a little bit last week, but I think the Chicago defense is kind of just what the doctor ordered for Minnesota. So I like Minnesota to win that game. So against the spread, Detroit, Minnesota, Houston, Baltimore, and your Bills will be the picks. You know that I'm liking the Chiefs, although I could see that being a 3-point game. It's 3.5 in most places, but they got to get a win. I'll probably have a little money line action on Kansas City in that one.
Yeah, speaking of divisional games, that'll be intense because the Broncos, we all know their home record thus far this season. And, a playoff game of sorts as well for they got to keep doing what they're doing here. They can't rest on their laurels, so to speak, not so much in the Ravens case or the Texans. But that should be a fascinating affair out in Denver. 5-0 the Broncos at home so far this season. It doesn't look like have you talked to Dusty today? Do you know where he's at or what the?
Yeah, I texted him and he had to meet up with Suits at noon.
Okay.
And he was hoping to be able to pop in by about 1:45. So I guess they might be delayed. Maybe they've got the TSN bigwigs sitting down with the guys. Not too sure. He's somewhere downtown. And I was hoping he was going to pop on for a few minutes on WST as well. So one way or the other, we'll get the picks out. I'll get Dusty maybe to tweet out my picks and his picks as well. So for those of you that are wondering where his head is at for the NFL, he'll be locked and loaded. But let's face it, it's unfortunate that this is Grey Cup weekend because, to be honest, I think we've got 2 of the best late slate games and one of the best Sunday nighters all season long.
Yeah.
But CFL takes precedence on Grey Cup Sunday. We'll be at the game. And looking to see whether your Riders or the Alouettes will be kings of the CFL for the 2025 season right here at Princess Auto Stadium in the Peg.
I'll be with you Monday as well in the lock shop. We'll be setting up Cowboys and Raiders, if you can believe it, Huss. We'll be back in the NFL groove.
You have all these great games during the week, and then we get served up Raiders in prime time.
That's your sweet dessert on Monday night. But look, just in parting, tell everyone down there I say hi, who especially Remus. Give Remus all my best. Everybody else at WST, have fun. Be safe, but more importantly, have fun. Dusty, I know Iwanek is lurking around there somewhere. He's trying to have fun.
And Iwanek, I'm sure, at some point.
Unbutton that shirt for him a bit if you can. I'd love to see that. Thanks so much, Huss. Enjoy the weekend. Again, enormous FOMO coming from out here, but should be, again, 112th Grey Cup from Winnipeg. All the makings of a classic, and let's hope it lives up to that. So all the best to you, man.
Absolutely. Shout out, hey, McDiesel 780 later, Huss. Yeah, all of you guys enjoy Grey Cup weekend. Good luck with your NFL picks. And I think we're setting up for a classic. I don't know whether you're going to be really happy or devastated at the end, but I think it's going to keep you right up until the end of 60 minutes LTE. So enjoy it. And who knows, maybe next year in Calgary, which I still can't believe they're having the Grey Cup in Calgary in that dump of a stadium next year. But it'll be closer for you to get to. So we'll get the yes, Matt Hyman, hashtag get LTE pegged.
I will not be getting pegged this autumn. That's maybe sometimes, maybe you'll come out here and get yagged. There was somebody we were talking at the casino last night. Maybe a Jets game out here. Maybe.
I would love to do that. I think we need to do a WST, EST home and home, if you know what I'm saying.
Absolutely.
And listen, maybe both of our hockey teams could get their bleep together and make it a little more fun for both of our shows right now. I'm not looking forward to talking about the third period of Jets Seattle last night, but I'm going to have to do that with Remus coming up in just a couple minutes over on WST.
It would help. There he is, ladies and gentlemen, Andrew Hustler Paterson, Winnipeg Sports Talk. We appreciate his time as always. Love the man. And again, I wish I was out there, but I'm not, and that's fine. Short bench. Somebody's got to do the work around here, and that'll be me. I will be back on the lock shop Monday morning with us, breaking down Grey Cup 112. Also reviewing the Week 11 slate. I don't know, again, jokingly with a snide smirk, we'd set up Raiders Cowboys, but probably have a proper 2 on that one as well for your Monday nighter. Oilers in Carolina tomorrow, obviously. You can join Tom Gazzola live. It'll be a carnival atmosphere on the west end of Edmonton tomorrow. You got Wayne's Sports Cards having their grand opening right next to the Italian Center. First 150 people through the doors. They get a special option with a purchase. They'll have a special guest Mr. Manager on site, and of course giveaways, balloon popping, all that sort of thing. If you know Wayne's National Hockey Card Day, you know how they put on a party. It's a great atmosphere. That's 11 to 5 tomorrow at Wayne's, new location right next to the Italian Center shop. You got Firehouse Subs in there as well, the Italian Center, and then pop over to BP's Westgate. Join Tom Gazzola 4 o'clock for the GCL Diesel Oil Stream pregame show, getting you set for Oilers and Hurricanes. Should be a great weekend. Thanks everyone for listening and putting up with me. I know it's not the same without Nielson and Hustler here in the lock shop. I try my best. Thanks for everyone texting in 780-218-9999. And of course, in the nasty chat, I will not be getting pegged, but maybe Huss will be getting pegged or yagged sometime in the not too distant future. For YouTube, Trev producing the show and Hernan Salas taking me out. I'm Lieutenant Eric. We got the oil stream coming up next with Tom Gazzola. Stick to it. EST's got you 6 to 6. EST afternoons following that with Hernan and Gager, and Jason Milne, Reed Wilkins on the Reed Wilkins Show, taking you home 3 to 6. Have a great weekend. Celebrate all that is Canadiana for the 112th Grey Cup. Riders and Alouettes from Winnipeg Sunday at 4. Go Riders. Have a great weekend. Talk to you on the Nielsen Show Monday alongside Dave Jameson.